It'll pop up in the corner of the screen when we are.
Okay. It's now live on YouTube, it says.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Steve, otherwise known as Slightly Slanted Sleuth, and I'm joined today with Yvonne Gordon. Yvonne Gordon is a very wonderful soul. She has helped me tremendously on my understanding with the Bible, the verses, what have you, on the, on how to separate the fact from the fiction or from the pretend fiction we like to think is fiction. But hi, Yvonne, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good, Steve. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah,
Good to be here.
my pleasure. I mean, I'm happy as punch to have someone such as yourself. Where's your goat?
I took it down. I got tired of it on my head.
Why? I love the goat. The goat was awesome.
It was. I still have it, but I'm just gonna use it sparingly. I want to put something up for the holidays or something. I haven't decided what yet.
And guess what? The stream isn't on the stream that it was before. So I got to go through here. I apologize. So what should we start off with our talk today? And we touched a little bit on before the show what we were going to talk about it. Where do you think we should start on those?
You mean on the
why? The why. I guess we'll start at the first question. The why. Okay. So why are we confronted with the issues in your opinion, with the issues we're facing in today's world, and between each other? Why is there such division and polarity?
Because we are, in order to be in a created level, we have to be plus or minus. We have to be, we have to have these elements of desire and intention, and we work between them to develop will. The whole purpose of our life is to become will, to have a choice. And that's something we have to develop consciously. We can't, we can be born with a will, but then we wouldn't know the difference. And I guess it's really important to nature for us to know the difference between not having will and developing will. That's what it looks like.
You sound a little smite today for some reason.
What's that?
Smite, or what is it? When you've got a little frustration, or you're a little more on edge, I guess, than you're normally. Apropos,
it's the time of the day.
Yeah,
it's time of the day.
It's the time of the day.
Right. Yeah.
You turn into a pumpkin at what time? So
no, I'll be all right for a while. When I start getting real orange like Donald Trump.
Okay, so get this. What you were just saying there about the choice. We have to have a choice, or the will to decide, or we come to these crossroads, these nexuses of our lives where these decisions mean a lot, right?
Yes.
And you're saying in our collective, what's going on in our world is the natural world is pushing us to a point to make a decision whether we're going to take the higher road or the lower road, right?
Yeah, and we're destined to take the higher road, and most of us take it through a lot of suffering. That's been my experience. There's an idea in the Bible where you teach your children. You remember that song by Crosby, Stills and Nash? Teach your children and teach them well,
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you teach your children the right way, their road will be smoother. But if you don't teach them the right way, then they got to learn a lot by experience. And I mean, it's still experience, but the idea that you're guided, by those that you trust, will make the road easier. That's right. You can see that in families where people are raised to trust, in God and in their family and all that stuff. It just seems like it's a little easier for them at times.
Yeah. Get this though. Yesterday, I don't know if you watched my recent video, but it was with that whole crucial thing, the whole crucifixion.
Yes.
What you just said right there, the decisions of life is what crucial means, right? The crucial is you're forced to make a decision. It's a crucial juncture And
Right.
I never really put it together, I guess me and my elementary thinking about, the wording and how words tie into everything and how they're all interconnected in some way, shape, or form, especially when you look for something and you really see what a word means, you know?
Right. Well, that's why it says God is the word. And like the way it kind of diffuses into words, many words. And then we got to sift through them to find out, which ones really click with meanings and, in our experience so that we can, the words can guide us. The word can guide us instead of take us off on a tangent. Words
Yes.
take us into wrong places and then they can bring us to the narrow road.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. And it seems the more you pay attention to that and communicate with that or let that in, the more it happens, right?
Yes, yes, because it's like the idea that, the more you have, the more you'll be given. Jesus said, he who has more will be given because you attract more of the same. You're
Yes.
always attracting more of the same of what you're putting out,
Right.
because
Like
that's
attracts like in the spirit world
right.
and opposites attract and duality in the physical world.
Right. Yes. Yes. And
That's
that's why it's important to get to the spiritual world so you can stay connected to the like and the light, you
and the
know?
odd thing, you get listen to this here. I don't know if you've ever played with two magnets and you put the two poles together,
Hmm.
and they push each other apart, right?
Yes.
So the north and the north, they're pushing each other apart. But in actuality, that is, I think, I get these abstract thoughts in my mind, like the incommensurable, fractalized, ineffable singularity. I don't know that, that sounds like fancy talk, but I mean, do you follow what I mean right there?
Yeah,
That's
sure.
pretty much what
Absolutely.
what we are in the atom, right?
Yeah.
Now, I the like attracts like thing, the null point is the stillest thing in the eye of a hurricane, in the eye of a magnetic field, the magnetic field around a magnet. So
Right.
those two null points are just going to be still and they're not going to push or pull, right? So I
Right.
mean that's what our center and God, our true self, pretty much
Yeah.
is, right?
Yeah. That's why it says, be still, my soul, for I am God, because in that still point, you're safe.
Yes.
You're always in the now. You never get old and you're never young. You were just always there. That's eternal. And it's the
Right.
safest place to be.
Yeah, I think we're all longing to get back to that place, and I think that's why we fill ourselves with all of the stuff that's going on in the world. Back to that,
Yeah.
and in your opinion, is this because I get this feeling that I don't know if every generation has felt this. Maybe you could touch on this a little bit. Is we're all has every generation thought they were the last generation, or the ones that are going to witness the apocalypse, or the physical apocalypse. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there are people who do experience it in every generation. That's the truth. And I think when you kind of know when it's your last generation, I think the signs are stronger for you.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if you understand how it's written, that you're coming to, and all these signs start coming, and you're like, this is it, this is it. But other people may not feel that way, but you feel that way because for you, it's like you really start feeling something's going to change, something's going to give, you know,
Yeah.
and it usually does. If you're in your last generation, you've probably been the worst you've ever been. From
Yeah.
your full
Down. You mean
experience.
down low in the gutter, maybe homeless, maybe kicking a can. All that is what you're saying.
Yeah, like the prodigal son, it says he spent everything, all his life, his living, his substance on harlots, which is the carnal mind, and on riotous living. And then when he ran out of everything, he wound up with the pigs. And of course, in the Bible, that means those desires that wallow in the mud, that wallow and just want to be in the dirt. That's where they
Mm-hmm.
want to be. They like it there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says he came to himself. That's that moment. And he's like, oh, my father's servants have it better than this, you know. It's that feeling like there's got to be something better, and you start coming to who you really are and who you're meant to be, and you want to return home. That's the way it works, you know.
Yeah.
And then you do, and it's hard, but you know.
Yeah, it's I've noticed the closer I get to understanding it all, the more I cry.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of tears. I had a lot of tears. I was just talking to Frank this morning. I used to cry for myself all the time. Now I cry for everybody else all the time. I'm still crying all the time. You know,
Yes.
like I'm still crying. I cry for the suffering of everything. You know, it's also becomes very keen. I think that's the purifying process is that you kind of have to face everything, like your karma, your um, all the things that you know that become real to you, that you see others doing and how they break you, you know, and you wish they would stop, but then you realize that you were all a part of it, and so everybody's to blame, you know what I mean? First you want to blame others, and then you realize slowly but surely we were all in this together, you know. Yeah.
Yes. It's totally true. And oops, sorry about that. But what was I going to say? There goes my attention span again. No, but I mean, we're all in this together. The fact, you know, I understood your last message out of your last video as, you know, sure, these people are out here doing this and that, whatever, right?
Hmm.
But the true journey is within you. Are you going to deal with your own demons or ego infested or ego inflated ideas of how you feel about those people, right?
Yeah, yeah, sure. You can think all day long about them, and it's not going to bring you anything. It won't bring you any peace, and it won't be resolved because they're always going to be out there. And there's just, you know, millions and billions of them. So what are you going to do? You know, wring your hands and, you know, till they're bloody, but you're not going to get any relief until you go in
Right.
and face yourself. And even if it goes beyond yourself, even if it's like I said, we're this collective, we still, like, you know, we all died in the first Adam, it says. So we all have to come back one at a time. We just have to go through that purge and merge into a higher level, you know,
Right.
purge and merge.
Maybe we should pump the brakes a little bit, back up, and when you said we all died in the first Adam, in your you mean something totally different than what the carnal mind would take that to mean, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So what is that? What is that you mean? Excuse me.
Well, whatever we were before, now if you can tell me what that is, um, you know, right?
Right.
We whatever we were, we broke into a lot of pieces. It's like we shattered, and but each of the pieces have a spark in it. This
Hmm.
is according to Judaism. You know, each of them had a little spark that can wake up. That's going to wake up at the appointed time. My daughter always says, when God gets ready to wake up in you, you know, when he stops being lazy and he wakes up, you know, and it's like, arise, oh God, you know, and because it's like Jesus is asleep in the boat and the freaking people are drowning, and he's there screaming at him, why are you letting us die? And that wakes him up, and he's like, oh, you have little faith. It's like, hey, you were asleep and the boat was going down. But what the reason God goes to sleep is because you have to see
Hmm.
that without him the boat goes down.
But when
If
you're
you
referencing
don't see
God, you're
that,
referencing your truest condition, right? That's who
yeah,
you are in your truest condition. You're a part in that whole, which is God.
yes,
Yes.
yes, we all move and breathe and have our being in him, but our consciousness is not with him. That's the most important part. Once our consciousness wakes up, and you know he wakes up and we, you know, become one again, then we're safe. We know we're safe. But until then, and you know, when we have that angel that's standing between us and the garden, you know, that
Yeah.
cross is keeping us out.
Correct. Okay, now the cross means that it means crucial. It means all of these things to everybody. Different things, different meanings, but there's truly one meaning for the cross, right?
Yeah, it's well, it kind of like it comes to you in different ways. I know to me it was I didn't know what it was for a long time. I thought it was where Jesus died, and
Right.
I felt really bad that he had to die there, and it was very sad. And I didn't like thinking about that. But then,
Mhm.
of course, as I experienced the cross, because it opened my single eye, then I died with him there. What happened to me, I realized that I'm the tree of knowledge and he's the tree of life, and we were brought back together. That nailing is this metaphor for joining us back together. So the tree of knowledge becomes the tree of life, you know, that
Right.
experience.
And I apologize for looking down at my phone as usual. I'm
All
looking.
right, that's fine. I know what you're doing.
Okay, good. And that's exactly how I see it now. And thanks to your insight, several other people's insight about the cross, because that was my biggest question: was what is this thing? Why is it everywhere? I mean, everywhere and atop every church. It doesn't matter where you're at in the world. If you're looking at a church that follows, God, different parts of the religion, whatever. But it's you're always seeing the cross everywhere, Templar's
Right.
cross, everywhere. So I was like, what is that? And that was my mission, was to figure out what that was. And
Yeah.
it's incredible because it's like you go in the back door, you go out the front door, you come back around, you go back in the back door again, you're coming out the front door, and you realize, hey, I was home the whole time, and it's in me. And it's like,
Right.
do you think there is a point as a child? Or wait, somebody else has got a question. They ask, what is their role in the reset? Free Press 666 wants to know if you have an opinion on the reset. I don't know what that means.
I'm not an economic person. I don't really understand economics. I know they're trying to reset the economic system. Is that what he's talking about?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. They just said ask her what's my role in the reset. Free Press 666.
Well, if the root of evil is, if the love of money is the root from evil, the evil root from the emptiness, so money is like is what we use in that root from that, from the emptiness. But it says the true treasure, of course, is the Christ, the Christos, the oil, the anointing. So the reset, the spiritual reset, is that we use the treasure within us, and that supplies us. And from there, everything we'll just be given what we need all the time because we just know what we need. And
That's
so
the
does the
manna that
source.
the tribe of Judah or the Israelites survived on in the desert for 40 days, 40 nights, or 40 years, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, the ego is always trying to accumulate the stuff out here,
Hmm.
because it feels safe with that, because it feels vulnerable without it, because there's nothing else.
Yeah, the
There's
hoarding
nothing.
tendency. You mean yes? You gotta uh, get your survival supplies. You gotta be
Right.
prepped. The prepping.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And the more you have, the more secure you are, or you think you are, until the rich, really, really rich people die anyway, and you go, oh well, maybe it isn't everything, but it's as far as the economically, I think that for those who don't have the inner riches, there's still going to be a reset out here because of the bankruptcy of our system.
Yes.
That's just the way that's always been going on, though.
Yeah.
That's a cyclic thing where after the war
Isn't
they
it?
burn all the money, and they give you new money, and it's like,
It's like a riverbank,
yeah,
or the currency.
yeah,
It's
like
just
the bitcoins and all that stuff, that they're transitioning into, or it's like there's always those people who are smart economically and they get ahead in the game, and they
yes.
know how to take advantage of those situations. Well, I don't know anything about that, guys. I wish I did. In a way, I really do.
Pre-press, Alan he wasn't asking about the money. I guess he just came through chat and said not about money, about the you know, the universe resetting or some sort of, probably, I think, end of world times or something like that. I think that's what he means.
Yeah, well, the reset being going into a higher level, which is that middle line. That is where we're all being pushed, because just like the baby comes out of that womb, comes out, and we are being pushed out into another level of consciousness. And we all got to get there because we're all connected. So once the head comes out, the baby comes out a lot easier. It's getting that head out. That's where the pain is.
That's awesome. That's an awesome analogy. I love that because it's easy to wrap your head around that one.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But
So,
that was excellent. That was an excellent answer. And yeah, the cyclical pendulum swinging, the ups and downs of our world, and how the rhythm of I guess Shiva, if you're familiar with Shiva, how that happens.
well, I read the poem. I read her poem about it.
Yeah, that was pretty nice. I like that.
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah, Elsie. Yeah, but what was I going to ask you? You got me off my train of thought now.
I'm sorry.
What was I going to ask you? The fact that what was I going to ask? Come on.
The rhythmic. You were talking about the rhythmic cycle or something.
Oh yeah, the Free Press says the baby comes in upside down.
Right.
First.
Right.
Diving right in, right? And what do I got over here? The no diving sign.
Yeah, that's why the head has to, also be formed first in the womb, the head and the spine, and then the body forms around it, because everything comes through the head, and that's the way it is in our new life too. We need that new head, and that's why it says Christ is our head, that new level, that new dimension,
Right. And Thoth is in here saying, what are the sides of your head called? And I'm sure he's meaning temples, and because God is in your head. And
right, the two temples that are destroyed before the third temple is built, the whole head. First the right side is destroyed, and then the left side, or vice versa, because we cross over. But yeah, they both have to be destroyed. The male, female, both have to be destroyed to build a whole new man with God between them. In the new covenant, in the Ark of the Covenant, God is between the male and female, between the two angels that are beaten out of one piece of gold.
Yeah, aren't they called cherubim?
Right. And those are also that keep you out of the garden, the cherubim.
Yes, those are the second order of angels, or
right. And that keeps you out until you're back together. And face to face is important, because Adam and Eve didn't know each other. The heart didn't know the mind. And God wanted the heart and mind to know each other. So he separated it and put it on two separate journeys to bring it back together.
Yes. And there's always two, just like those poles on the earth, right? Just like the poles on a magnet, there's always two things in a dualistic, in our duality,
right?
Which is in actuality a triune when we finally figure it out, right?
Yeah, because of that higher mind that we have to be connected to. It's because if we're not, we're always going to repel. If you look at your light bulb, it's got that filament, that neutral filament in there. There's got to be something that keeps those two from shorting each other, that brings them together somehow. Otherwise, they don't come together right.
Right. Yeah. It's the JoJo that makes it go.
Yeah. Love is that undefinable thing, that 4-letter word that everybody uses as much as they use that other 4-letter word. But
what, duck?
Yeah, duck, right. But it's just hard. It's just really hard to define it. And it's not, you can't, because you have to experience it. It's an experience,
Yeah, it's like me, I feel like I'm the Pied Piper right now, blind leading the blind, but there's everything inside me tells me that what you guys are speaking of is the truth, because it's everywhere. when you open your mind to what is written everywhere in the signs, just because there are different things or logos or symbols from one culture to the next or different time era from the next, doesn't mean they're different things. You know, if you,
Right, right. They just use different ways of expressing it. And
yes,
maybe that's also, I always, when I figured that out, I thought that's the universe or, God, whatever, making sure we check ourselves. There's always something to check ourselves against. Like you check math,
hmm,
because, and may the best system win, that kind of thing.
right.
The one that can get you there. Maybe they're all competing to like a game to see which of the systems works the best. Even though
Now,
they're all the same,
what do you mean by they?
meaning those who've been there and done that, like who are always trying to help, always trying to because it's got to be from the beginning. There's so many beings who've been enlightened, throughout
Yes.
time
And do
and
you think
have
those beings
returned.
are here now, or a lot of them are in our vicinity, maybe around us as we're doing what we're doing?
Right. That's what it says in the Bible, that they're angels that are unaware, and angels are the measure of a man. So you're a man when you're an angel, and you're an angel when you're a man.
Yeah, let's touch on that man word that you use. A man is a, because some people get, some females or women get, a little perturbed when they feel like they're being left out of the conversation.
Right. Well, a man is both male and female and knows himself. He knows both sides of himself. So a woman can be a man, but she can't be a man. There's no new woman in the Bible, because a new woman, a woman who is truly enlightened, she knows her inner man, just like a man knows his inner woman. That's why it says, let every woman have her own husband, her inner man of her heart. And let every husband have his own wife, meaning let him work on his own desires. Let him deal with them and fulfill them, instead of putting it all on the female in his life. Although that's part of the process. You learn together, you teach each
Yes.
other, you know, you come
And just
together.
marriage itself is kind of like an extension or a manifestation of your inner journey, right?
I think so. It was for me.
Hmm.
It definitely was for me. I was married almost 50 years, and at first I mean, all the stages you go through together, but eventually, when you love them, first of all, you give them room to be who they really are, and they don't have to be you anymore, or they
Hmm.
don't have to just be about you. You understand that love is
That's
what's
when you
through
find
us.
that's when the man finally changes his name to Flo.
Right?
Happy life, happy wife. That's
Yeah.
all it's about.
Well, that may be true, but there's got to be, she's got to wake up too, that it's not just about that. And
No, I
that,
know.
you know what I mean?
But
Everybody wants to be something that they think is greater than them. So if a woman wants to be a man, it's because she thinks men are greater than her, or at
yes.
least society's trying to make them think that they are.
Wow, I just put that together. The LBG, that community, that whole push it was like, remember when that was our worst thing we had to deal with? I mean, right? Remember all that propaganda
Oh,
coming at
yeah.
us from everywhere?
Yeah.
So I just realized that's probably was a manifestation of that very issue that you're talking about right there.
Gender. Yeah. Those hermetic principles. Gender is the last one. And
Mhm.
that's beyond above male and female, above
Yes.
sex. It's about the way your brain works, the way your consciousness works.
Right. Well, I just put another thing together while you were talking about that. This is why because I postulate that the Atlantis story is a story of our inner journey, our mind, just like the Bible is, you know. And Atlantis, uh, there was androgynous beings, you know,
Hmm. Oh,
means
okay.
both
I
female,
didn't
female.
know that.
Yeah. And that's how it starts out. It starts out telling us that, and then the story was, it had 10 rings around the central island, obviously that's the Sephiroth. And then it had two walled off cities, which, you know, what is that? That's our brain.
Right,
So,
right.
on
Yeah,
and on and on, just endless
yeah.
correlations. And then I looked up words and everything, and I started crying making the video because it was like one of those major moments of wow, you know, it's just amazing. And
Right,
yeah, so
right. And coming back together, as hard as it is, it's just, you just know that this is what was missing in you. You know, when Phil was talking last time about, you know, his twin flame and all that, I was thinking, you know, poor guy, you know, he's coming back together, you know, and it's a mess. You know what I mean?
oh
It's
yeah.
like, oh no, you know, it's a lot of pain
Yeah,
to
he didn't want
join.
to talk on the computer because he was so wrapped up in it for so long. Yeah, so yeah, it sounded pretty hard for him. And you know,
Yeah, yeah, it is because you don't know. You can't help but project a little bit because you just don't know what to do with that. That's like,
right,
what? You mean there's another whole side of me I didn't even
right.
know existed? You know? Yeah, that's
That,
really
that
hard.
just I never even fathomed it was that what twin flame meant, that, you know, I
Yeah,
that deep in that. It's like, whoa. So I mean, that's just another level of the same thing, but just more intense, you know, just like
yeah,
we're trying to just get back to the root, you know, me anyway,
right,
just trying to expose that root of what I am, and just so I
right.
can get that light shone down on me. And
Yeah. Yeah, that's the last phase. You know, that's a very you know, like remember Thomas, it means twin,
mm-hmm,
and he denied Jesus until he could literally become part of him, you know, put his hands into his the holes of his hands, and that whole idea that of the spiritual touch, you know, because Simon means heard, and you know, you got all these metaphors for the spiritual senses, but this the sense of touch, spiritual touch, is that coming back together with your twin self, you know,
hmm.
the other part of you.
Interesting.
It's not really another person, but you really feel like it could be, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Until you're done.
Right,
And then you know, okay, that was me. You know?
right. Somebody's, what did you say? Bodies have plant DNA. Bodies, what do you mean? Bodies, our bodies? We are the accumulation of the previous kingdoms, right? Plant,
Right. Still
animal.
vegetative, animate, and speaker.
Yes,
Yes,
and
we have all those levels.
that's why man is the measure of all things, correct? One of
Right, right. And he has to correct it all. When he's corrected, then all those kingdoms within him are corrected. Then you'll see outwardly a totally different reality.
yeah, that everything is interconnected, and
Right, right. And the world will change. The outer manifested world will change. Just like right now, that's why I've never seen it. I've never seen it this divided. Of course, it has been because it happens in cycles all the time.
right.
But you know, I think that we're coming apart to come back together. We're falling
We're the
apart to come
micro
back together.
dance of the big one, right?
Yeah, yeah,
In the physical world, that is. In the physical world, it essentially is just nature, and nature doesn't have it in for you, or nature doesn't have it for you. Nature is just there for us to exist in. Could you explain a little bit about this? You know?
yeah. No, I can. You know, it's just one of those things where you start stumbling over like terms like love and
Uh-oh.
you know all that stuff. It's just it's really hard to define those things. But I do believe that God is love, that nature is love, and but in this dimension, in this manifested level, it's just got to be a certain way for us to have certain experiences. And
Oh,
you know what I
now I see
mean?
your perspective on it. Is it love? The truest love for you is just willingness to put you through the hardship.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's even the Buddha story. His father throws him out and makes
Yeah.
sure the first thing he sees is, you know, death and sickness and all that good stuff. You know, it's like, really, Dad? You know? But
Yes.
yeah, he wanted to go out and find what reality. It's like the prodigal son to me, the Buddha story. And You know, he wants to go out and find what reality is all about. But what he really wants to know is how everything works, because you have to experience it. You don't know any other way. How can you really know anything? You know, the rabbi says that God wanted Adam and Eve to fall.
Yeah, from the
That's
tree
not
of
what we hear in church, but you're going to hear that from a rabbi. You know,
right.
God wanted them to fall because he wanted them to know who he is,
Hmm.
really know him, you know.
Well, anybody who's had too much to drink and had their arms wrapped around a toilet knows how to pray to God. I'm serious, and that's the when you're there and you're like, God, I'll never do it again. No, please, God, no. You know,
Right?
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a trivial, kind of childish way of looking at it. But I mean, we always only reach for God when we need God. You know, when we feel, oh, please, God. You know, when we're really in turmoil or down and out. You know, and what we don't realize when we're doing that is, dummy, just wake up. It's see, God is you if you correct yourself, right?
Right. I know that that's, you know, I am very, very, very hesitant to say God is me, because I
Right,
know
right.
that
I
some
mean,
people need to hear that. They need to hear that, you know, they are God. I don't need that, because to
no.
me, um,
But if all is one, there's one person, one thing, it's God. I mean, you are
it
God.
is, that's true. But when I say that I'm God, then I'm really saying, well, why don't you just make it better already if you're God?
Oh, right, right,
You
right.
know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, do something,
And that's
dummy.
what a
You
lot of
know?
people are stuck on is that exact point right there, what you just said. Well, why has God let this happen? Why does God let that? God isn't to blame. It's our decisions that are, right?
Well, he's there, you know, it doesn't do any good. You can blame him. He's got big shoulders, whoever he is, you know, it doesn't phase him one bit. But it's like, because he knows, or that higher consciousness, the I am that I am knows, when you know what that knows, when you know the same thing, then you're going to know it was all for the good. But until then, you're not going to, you can call yourself God until you turn blue in the face, but that won't make you feel better if you don't know what's going on. You know what I mean?
Right,
You're
right.
like, I'm God, but why am I so miserable? You know,
Man,
I don't
God
know
is
what
a
to say
God
to
is one
people like
pissed
that.
off, angry, depressed dude, man.
So I don't even go there. It's like, hey, when I'm God conscious, I'm gonna know it, and I don't have to say it. You know, it's like I just know it. I know where I'm in that state. And
Mhm.
when I'm not in that state, believe me, I can just be over there just as quick as anybody else. The only difference is I can get back
Mhm.
quick,
Yes.
but it's always there, you know.
Yeah.
It's there until, you know, probably until I'm out of the body completely. I don't know. Although
Right.
sometimes I feel like, you know, I'm out of it very little. But, you know, I was asking, like, why do I suffer so much? And I thought, well, God suffers. It says love suffers long and is kind. And so God suffers, you know, he suffers with us. And because he's suffering in us. And there's Frank.
And there's Frank. Hey, Frank. You might be muted, bud. Hang on. If you
There's
can,
the F.
hit the unmute button up in the corner of your screen. Here, I'll see if you're muted. You don't have a video or an audio thing. So maybe leave and come back in because it's not showing you with a microphone. It's just showing you with a video, bud. So yeah, come back in. I think you gotta, yeah, you're gonna have to. Here, I'll chat with you. Can you hear me at all?
I don't hear him.
You can't hear him either?
No, I see a big F.
Yeah.
A pink F.
F-oo. All right.
Frank is connecting. All right.
All right. Yeah. So, um,
He came in just in time to take over the love conversation. That's what he does best. He's learned about love the hard way, as we know.
Right.
And he understands, there does love doesn't need to boast itself either. It's like it doesn't need to say I'm God, I'm this, and it can be humble. So what's the big point of
Right.
saying you're God? Although it's like it makes you, I think it helps people to know that God is within them. I think that is
That's what I
really
mean when I say that. I don't mean that, in a egotistical, power hungry Trump kind of way. I don't mean it in that kind of way. You know what I mean?
yeah, no, I do.
I am God. Now I strike upon thee, and I don't mean it like that. But I could see how people could see that.
It stumbled me to think about, when people would say that to me when I wasn't ready to be even staying in my higher consciousness. It just frustrated me so much, so because I couldn't, if I was God, I sure was a bad version of him, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things, like it's called equivalence of form. You know what something is when you become equal to it.
Right. Right. Truth in Me says, BS, we were never meant to suffer like this.
Who said that?
Truth in Me, Tina.
Oh, okay. Well, I bet not. I hope not. I hope it wasn't meant for us to suffer like this. But here we are. What are we going to do? What should we do? Ask Tina. What should we do?
What is your proposal to do? I've been asking this question of myself lately. What can I do? I mean, and I think I'm doing it. That's, to be honest with you, that's what I think I'm doing, is trying to spread, the message of, God, I guess. I mean, I'm not trying to be a crusader or anything. And I'm not trying to get anything out of it either. I'm just sharing my journey with everybody else in hopes that it helps somebody else. To be honest with you, it's kind of a selfish act, right? I mean, because it helps you on your journey.
Oh, sure. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we learned that in the 12-step program. If you give it away, you keep it. And it's also true why we're supposed to spread the news, the good news. It's not just so that others can hear it, but it helps us I remember what that guy, Richard Bach and Jonathan Livingston Seagull, he said, you learn best what you most need to, no, you teach best what you most need to learn. Right?
That's very
So
good.
when you're teaching it, that's the phase of prophecy. As you prophesy you're really getting it back. It's your development. You think you're helping others, but really you're helping yourself. Yeah.
And I came to that video I did, and that's why I started thanking everybody, because
Right?
it came to me. I mean, the other day I was talking to you. We were doing a comment back and forth, and I don't. Oh, hang on. I think he's got.
Frank,
Can you hear me? No, you're muted, buddy. You're still muted.
Hey guys.
There you go. What's up, bud?
Good. I'm sitting here having oatmeal and banana, and I'm trying to figure out how to get the video back on. I got the speaker phone. I had to give it permission and all that. I just reinstalled Zoom, and I'm totally lost. I don't have a picture or nothing.
I think we're all lost in different degrees, right?
As long as we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you, bud. So how you been?
Hey, I didn't shave today, so I don't mind not being seen.
I wish I could hide behind an F.
Right. Yeah.
I should hide.
Nothing bad about that. I just mean, I wish I could hide.
Well, you guys go on, and if I have something, that I felt led, jump in there, I will.
All right, brother. Thanks for joining.
Meanwhile, I'll also try how to get you guys back so I can see you.
What was that, bud?
I'll try to figure out how I can get to see you, how to get back to
the video. Yeah. Okay.
I have no idea.
Hey, obviously I'm no technology wizard either, because I can't even sync YouTube and Zoom up anymore. I was pretty good at that for a while, but
I got it.
I'll schedule a stream and it'll be on a totally different stream. It'll be on my channel, but a different stream, and people will be waiting in the waiting room on the one I scheduled that everybody's, you know, liked already and sat in the chat and talked about all kinds of stuff forever. But yeah. So, hey, no worries, brother. There you go.
Here I am. Terrible lighting. Let me put. Oh, geez, I got to work on that lighting. You guys, I just got your invite like 3 minutes ago. I had installed Zoom. I'm in the middle.
Oh wow, you went through all that. You're like, oh.
Uh-huh.
Well, I appreciate it.
I need a minute. I'll be back.
All right, brother. Awesome. So, where were we? We were talking about. Truth in Me had said that we weren't supposed to bullshit. We weren't supposed to suffer like this. And I think that's where we were talking on them lines.
Yeah, well, remember it's true. I guess we weren't supposed to. But they, you know, that according to the Bible, the warning was if you eat of the tree of knowledge, if you want to know, you're going to have to die.
Mm-hmm.
And come, you know, it's like that's the payment. You're going to die. You're going to be separated from me, and that's going to cause suffering.
And that's
so how are we supposed to not make that decision? We didn't know any better, and now we know.
Right, but to make that decision or to die is really to live in this life and then die, right? To face death.
Right. He who loses his life for my sake. When we do the reverse, you know, when we die to ourselves, and I do that all the time, that's how life comes back to me over and over and over again. I have to do that a lot. I mean, I'm not as good at living in the living state as somebody else maybe. I'm still learning not learning, but I know how to do it. It's just, I have to do it all the time. It's a conscious decision to let go and let God. It's conscious.
Yeah, I can tell by how you take your videos down and you put them back up, and you have this battle going on within you all the time, right? Has it gotten any easier? Is it calming itself down in you at all? Is it showing you that it's just going to continue because that's what it's all about?
Yeah, it's going to continue probably because I'm always going to be worried about how people are taking it, because I know I listened to Rabbi Lightman talk to the people for 28 years, well, 25 years, and they're still asking him the same questions they asked him that many years ago. And I realized you can't just learn this stuff. It's something you've got to experience. And how do you get people to experience that? And when I realized that I don't have that power, then I think, well, why are you talking about it? Why are you talking about those things that you can't really help anybody do? And that frustrates me because I can't.
No, it's impossible, because that's what each one singular journey is. I mean, that's what makes the path narrow, right?
Right. All you can do is encourage and give your testimony and let them know that you love them. Right, Frank?
Well, I think at the same time, you don't want to scare the shit out of them and discourage them, right, Yvonne?
Right. That's right.
I mean, nice tell people that, you know, they gotta, you know, Jesus cares for us, and now it's your turn, and you gotta die to self, and you gotta go through all that fire, and it's gonna take a while. To totally discourage people. But you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna go through that no matter what, because you know that's life. It takes you there. It takes you there. You know.
I know.
Some people not. I'm trying to see what. Oh, okay. I can fix that later. Sometimes it's in this life, and sometimes it's in the next. You know, everything is according to God's timing. You know, for everybody. So best thing is to try not to worry about it and have faith and know that God is in everyone, and he's everything to everybody. Even if you don't know it, you will come to know it. I think it's easy. It can be somewhat easier if you have good teachers. Because I think that I spent many years believing that I was curse and believing that I would not make it. Because that's what I heard in the Catholic religion or Baptist or Pentecostal, you name it, they're all screwed up. And most of them don't really know the heart of God and how the, he may God lets us get in trouble, and go through many, many, many trials. But then we learn later on that those very trials that we went through actually helped us to it helped form a deeper love as we reckon with our mistakes, as we brought them to God, as we realized that we were wrong. And we all have love, but it's not pure. We all have love, but we don't, it needs to be purified and it needs to be sanctified in many ways. And that's what the trials and everything we go through are for. They actually, in the long run, purify us, bring us.
Yes.
They humble us. They, if you have love, you're willing to humble yourself, to say, I'm sorry, that was my fault. And you grow, and eventually, at some point, you start to discover that love is all there is. That's all that you care about. And I think that's kind of like when the Holy Spirit really starts to help you when you reach that point, because you're becoming selfless.
Yeah.
That whole process. Go ahead, Yvonne. Go ahead, sweetheart.
I was just going to, remind that he who loves much is who he's forgiven much loves much. It's that idea that, you got to understand. You understand other people by the time you get through the fire. You understand other people, and that's the thing that's lacking in you. Is that you don't have compassion for others.
You understand human nature when you've had to learn to forgive yourself, when you've had to learn to sorry about that. If I'd known in advance, this is your fault, Steve.
Hey, I ain't worried. I ain't worried about it.
No fault. All right, that's the best I could do. I forgot where I was, but go ahead, Yvonne.
Well, no, that's it. I was just going to say, yeah, gaining compassion is the most important part of interacting with others. If you don't understand them, you are not going to care what they're going through. You just aren't. Yeah. And if you don't care, you're not going to try to make room for them in your life. You just won't. Even if you do, it's like, not so much that you say, what can they do for me? It's not that you consciously tell yourself that, because if you did, then you'd be ahead of the game. You'd already know you were being a jerk, but mm-hmm. you don't want to admit that, So it takes a while to break that down, that heart. It's very stony, and it's like, has to take kind of a beating.
Steve, do you think there's such a thing as that starting to have compassion will be in the same measure that you find yourself needing compassion?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. When you know how much you need compassion, you do become willing to give it.
Because I needed a lot of compassion.
I know you do.
But now I'm able to give it back. And I don't know which came first, but I think that everything is born out of our needs that, I don't know, maybe I guess it's a combination. This would be like a symbiosis, because you see others that are suffering, and then you could bring it back home to yourself and say, I'm not the only one that's suffering. These people are like me, but you got to have that me to be able to identify with them. So it goes back and forth.
Yeah, it's almost like it starts feeling like that's how you realize you're one. Because when I feel compassion for others, it comes back to me right away. That's what I think that's that whole idea that everything comes back to you. Remember the Beatles said that. All the love you gave is all meant for you, because as you give, you feel it for yourself too, immediately. Because that's
Right.
all you feel. You
Right.
feel love.
And I think that's one of the laws where love others as you would have them uh, love you.
Yeah.
In that there's a principle of, I don't know if you want to call it karma and everything, but you can't get it for yourself if you can't give it to others first.
In effect, yes.
And then it comes back to you. So if you
Right.
would just exercise giving it, if your exercise was giving it, you would realize that, hey, the more I give, the more I get.
Yeah, it is true. Do you know
Yeah.
that? Remember, that lady, that weird lady from TBN? She's dead now, but Jan Crouch. Does anybody know that name?
It sounds familiar to me.
Well,
Nope.
she gave a story of how she was so depressed after they started the Christian broadcasting station. She couldn't get out of bed for months. She was so depressed. She couldn't make food for her kids. She couldn't do anything. And she prayed all the time for God to help her, and He didn't help her. And then one night she just became willing to hear. She's you go to church, and she went, and she didn't want to. She hated the idea of going there feeling the way she did. And God told her in the Holy Spirit, He says, go pray with that person at the altar. And she went down and prayed with somebody else, and her depression lifted instantly, and it never came back. And he was giving her a lesson. The minute you go out of yourself and you help somebody, you're safe.
Yeah.
You become part of me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think that there's a I'm sorry, Steve. I go ahead, man. I
No, I
don't
wasn't
want
going
to
to talk. Hey, I can sit here and keep my mouth shut finally. I talk enough.
for another 2 minutes.
It's all
But
good,
anyway,
bro.
I was gonna say that there is where you'll have those periods of, I almost call them grace, that where you feel like you're in the groove and you feel better and you're out of your depression. But it's grace that doesn't last because they say we go from glory to glory and like with dips in between. And to me, I realized going back that every time I dip, in essence, is because I was still very ignorant of all the different ways that I fell short and all the desires that didn't line up with love that I had. So I had my periods of grace, and that's what kept me going. If it wasn't for that mercy, those merciful moment of grace where I did a little something right like that, but I can't say that my depression went away forever, for the first, 40 years of my journey, because I had to travel back down and keep working those desires and keep, actually, I didn't work those desires, they worked me. In that I died to them. Literally, they got me. They killed me. It was like ashes. But the
Right.
only thing left was my desire to be loved, not to get love.
Yeah.
And at that point, I've had a pretty well sustained for over a year now. Uh, Almost a year and 1 month, I guess, and pretty well sustained what I call the miracle in my life. Uh, but I could, I'm not, except I'm still smoking, Steve. You got to pray for me, dude.
Well, there's nobody
Right.
else that can change you
I'm
but you.
such an asshole. It's like, God, I know I need to smoke, but you know what? Screw it. I'm having a cigarette.
Well, you can't breathe, then you'll want to stop. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, yeah. My blood pressure's high. I got to go to the doctors. Eesh.
You better take care of your blood pressure because people are dying of heart attacks left and right these days because of blood pressure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
My
that part that's
systolic, my systolic is high, and I've been going to the doctor, and I've been monitoring it, and I'm bringing like all kinds of readings with me tomorrow, and I already know it's going to put me on a diuretic, but I think with more exercise down the line, I'll be able to take care of that
Yeah.
naturally.
it is kind of a miracle when that kind of stuff is taken from you, as everything else that you know how that happened. It feels like a miracle, because one minute you can't, and then the next minute you are able to do it. And it is grace. But at some point, it becomes like grace becomes a choice, And when you're free, you want to stay free when you're at that point.
It has to be maintained. Every morning I wake up and I'm a mess. Personally, that's me. I'm a mess, and I have to recenter myself.
Yes.
And thank God that it's not just me doing an exercise of recentering. It's also that he's always there. Faith comes in. If you just but try to recenter, uh, uh, you could fall back into that. Okay, I want to live for love today. Every single thing I want to do, and you think of things, that you could. Well, I don't even think of things that I could do that are not love related. Those are not my first thoughts. I like to been doing a lot of stuff, trying to fix my house because it needs a lot of work for one thing, and I want to make a second home for Michelle down the line, that she can count on. And I haven't been, I hurt my back after I moved there. I mean, for like 3 weeks, and I haven't been
Oh.
But I don't care. I'll do something, I'll do something, and I'm trudging along, but I'm happy about it. And but it's a choice every day. You have to maintain it. It's not like it just readily zoom you're in, but you can reach that level where when your desire is to be loved, where you can recenter and you can keep choosing it over and over, and it's there. It is there, but it's because
It's like,
when you're not
it's
right
like going
choice.
like
I'm
the
sorry.
like Jacob's ladder. You go up to get goods and bring them down. You go up and you get the goods, and you got to bring them down. Let
Yeah.
your kingdom come
Yeah.
on earth as in heaven.
Some of us take one step forward and two steps back.
Yeah, some days that's how I feel. It's not all, every day's perfect, but I'm
You know what to do. You know what to do. That's the real blessing, is that you know what to do, Frank. And that's all I got. That's why I recognize it in you. Because if I didn't have that, I wouldn't know what you were talking about. I wouldn't. I mean it.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that that's what he does, the same thing I do. He constantly readjusts himself.
Ouch!
Oh, jeez, Frank. Holy,
You guys see me?
that's the down part.
He needs adjustment, all right.
Can
I'm
you
falling, but I
Oh,
can't
no.
get up.
can you get up?
That's funny.
Oh, dude. The recliner is actually
That's funny here now.
quite comfortable, and there was nothing to hit my head on, so I didn't sustain any damage whatsoever.
Well, that's good. If that happened to me, I'd be down there until they found me.
That was actually kind of fun.
It looked fun.
Yeah.
I've done that a lot in my chair, actually on purpose. But
Oh, do you?
you
Okay.
lean back far enough in those chairs and you fall back pretty easily.
Yeah, I just found out. It's the first time I've actually fell in this chair. I was trying to sit Indian style, real comfortable.
Everybody's wondering, are you okay?
He looks all right. Right?
I'm okay enough to roll a cigarette.
That's right. Well, you guys, do you want to wrap it up, or do you
Yeah.
any more
I was just
questions,
thinking the
or
same thing. And, you know, what's your biggest piece of advice for people that are just on the road? I mean, each one of you can give me a couple minutes of your, what your best piece of advice would be, you know, from your two different perspectives.
mine is just never give up. Know that it's in there to be found. The kingdom is within you. God is within you. And if you want to reach that level, you got to learn how to deny yourself. You got to understand what that means. It doesn't mean hate yourself. It doesn't mean punish yourself. It just means be still. Learn how to be still, be in that presence, that stillness inside, and practice it. Just practice it. Practice it. Meditate on it, and just keep. And whatever comes against it, like my till movement, reconcile everything to it. Whatever you've got in your life to do, whether it's falling off a chair or whatever you're doing, just freaking give it back and get centered again. Don't let anything throw you off for long. That's
Frank's
what
got his shadow in the back seat too, by the way. Look.
So what?
You see that?
yeah.
Oh, my hat is, yeah, it's actually, I lost the lampshade, so I just put my mowing on
awesome.
it up there. My
Okay, go ahead,
hillbilly hat.
finish, Yvonne. Sorry.
Well, that's all I got. It's a daily thing, and it's find it and then use it. Stay with it. Just stay with it.
Awesome. And what about you,
And
Frank?
I'm working on it. I think that we have spent our lives being lied to about God's love, and that whenever you find yourself or hear yourself saying, "I'm not going to make it," or "I'm a bad person," or "I'm selfish," or things like that. Well, you may be selfish at times, but as far as like God judging you, God's judgment is only allowing you to get yourself in trouble and everything so you can learn. But he's always going to be there for you. So you have to renew what you think God is, because God is love and he will never ever abandon you. And it takes time. It takes time. I would recommend a little, like I really can't go through my day unless I spend a little time in the morning and just calm down, because I wake up very racy, all over the place, like my dreams, all over the place. And I have to spend a little time and just think about love, and just know that that it's gonna take time, but don't be try not to be afraid. Try to understand that it's gonna take time. I mean, we're all born with all these desires, these addictions. Some of us have addictions we don't even know they're addictions. So it takes a while to find out what all is going, and you will have hard times, but that's not God punishing you. That's actually God loving you, because he lets you, and out of it you will learn. So have faith, and know God is, man. If y'all haven't heard my story, it's on Steve's channel. I went through let's just say I had a lot of the wrong desires, and I was convinced that God hated me, and only to find out that everything I went through actually made my heart for others. And so nothing, whatever it is you're going through, some of it's going to come back, bite you in the ass, but you'll learn from it. It's not God. God's judgment is not to, like, okay, I'm judging him, he's out of here, going to hell. There's no such thing. Hell can be here. It's a temporary state that we go through, out of which we grow. Everything is kind of like works together. You just got to relax about it, but spend some time I highly recommend centering your mind in the morning. Say, I want to be the best that I can be today. At everything I do, I want love to guide me. And go from there, spend your days, have faith, and just let God do his stuff. It's going to take a while, but recenter every morning. Try not to forget that. A lot of people recommend a little meditation, like in the 12-step programs, little daily readings or whatever. Just get your mind on love in the morning. It's very important, right, Yvonne?
Yeah, for without, you learn how to come up with your own little formulas. And if they change as you grow. I used to constantly say, perfect love casts out all fear, because I experienced that to be true. And so then I had to remind myself over and over and over. And now I just say, die to live and live to love. That's my new mantra. Die to live and live to love. And that's just
Right,
simple. But
right.
when I get into a rough patch, it's like stepping on stickers, or, you know, like falling off a chair or whatever, just reminding
That
myself
was
of how to
fun.
get up, you know?
Right. Those mantras are quite handy if you can
Now,
find one that
Steve,
that really hammers home what you're trying to remember. And mine is live in, love out. Nothing can phase you. You know,
Yeah.
that'll change the world. It'll change you. It'll change the world. I mean, that's all we need to do.
Yeah, and it becomes real simple. The simpler it is, the the better it is, because you don't have to go through so much to get there. Like, get yourself to where you can get yourself there as quick as possible. Because it is a state that we're supposed to live in. Joy, peace, love, that kind of stuff.
Try not doing this so much and do a little
Yeah.
of this.
Yeah, don't do that at all.
Right.
Just forget about
right?
it.
But
Right?
that's our nature, is to point the finger at somebody else. Somebody else is the reason why. And you know,
Yeah.
granted, there are some situations that I'm not saying that, but look here first.
Yeah.
That's what
You'll
I'm.
have less people to point the finger at, almost like you can't help it a lot of times if you don't watch the news. If you don't watch the news at all, just be there for your family or your flowers or your cat, or go visit your mom, and the world's going to do what it's going to do. I mean, it's really not in our hands anymore, you
Right.
know
That's
so
right.
I highly recommend that, that they want to keep us in a constant state of fear. That way we'll be good puppets, and et cetera, et cetera. It's just this. It's such a lie out there, monstrous lie. You better not. You better off not watching it. You really are. You really are.
Hmm.
Just come watch Steve
No,
and
don't hang your
Yvonne.
head
And
on what I'm doing, man. Right. All right,
Yes.
guys. I love you. Thank you for
love
your
you too. Hi, bye, Yvonne.
time.
Bye, Steve.
Bye. I love you guys. I really
Love you too,
do.
honey. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hey, Frank,
You're
next time I'll
welcome.
send you a link a couple hours ahead of time.
That would be nice.
All right, brother. Take
See
it
you
easy, guys.
later.
Okay. Bye bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. I want to say goodbye. Say thanks to everybody who joined me. Elsie came in 8:30. Free Press 666. Thoth, Han Solo, Truth and Me, Tina, Robert Francis, Michelle Can-Am Free. Robert V was here for a minute. Who else am I missing? There's a couple other people that I've seen in here that if I didn't grab you or give you a shout out, I apologize. I do care. I'm doing this for me and me, to share my journey, to help me complete my journey, but also just because I can. Love you all. Love, peace, chicken grease.